Global equities mostly lower while dollar plunges across the board. Wall Street shares closed higher on Tuesday on growing optimism that U.S. lawmakers are nearing a deal on a stimulus package after House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that she hoped for a coronavirus aid agreement could be accomplished by the end of this week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up 0.4%, the S&P 500 ended 0.47% higher, and the Nasdaq Composite closed 0.33% higher. Stocks were somehow supported by the news that Moderna's CEO said that the company's coronavirus vaccine could be available for emergency use in December if it gets positive results from its interim trial in November. Meanwhile, the U.S. Justice Department and 11 states filed an antitrust lawsuit against Alphabet Inc.'s Google for allegedly breaking the law and using its market power to fend off rivals. Despite the news, Alphabet's shares closed up 1.4% as investors shrugged off the antitrust lawsuit and stayed hopes for a near-term stimulus breakthrough. After the bell, Netflix Inc. fell nearly 6% after reporting results that missed expectations for paid subscriptions in the third quarter. Following gains on Wall Street, Asian stock markets were mostly higher on Wednesday, with investors keeping their eye on Washington in hopes of a deal to deliver more aid for the economy. South Korea's Kospi was up 0.53% despite the PPI rising by just 4.4% year-on-year and 0.1% month-on-month in September, both lower than the previous readings. Shanghai's Composite finished 0.1% lower, while the yuan jumped to its strongest level since July 2018 amid speculation that a victory for Joe Biden next month will lead to better relations between the U.S. and China. After a fairly positive start to the session, European stock markets retreated on Wednesday as renewed optimism surrounding stimulus talks in the U.S. failed to boost investor mood. Meanwhile, the EU's top negotiator Michel Barnier suggested that a trade deal in the U.K. was within reach. On the negative side, concerns on the COVID-19 pandemic spread on both sides of the Atlantic continue to prevent more sustained gains in the markets. As such, the UK FTSE 100 index shed 1.91%, Italy's FTSE MIB lost 2%, France's CAC 40 edged lower by 1.53%, while the German DAX 30 shed 1.41%. U.S. equities finished slightly lower on Wednesday as investors waited for updates on stimulus deal progress, with disagreements over a relief bill still being significant. The benchmark S&P 500 index lost 0.2% as U.S. political leaders wrangled over economic aid following the expiration of extra unemployment benefits. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 0.4%, the Nasdaq Composite gave up 0.3%. Elsewhere, the dollar declined dramatically across the board on Wednesday, with 10-year Treasury yields climbing to its highest level since early June to 0.834% early on before trading slightly. The Euro-USD climbed to a one-month high, extending gains to 1.1880 before easing slightly thereafter. The pound-sterling-US dollar pushed higher to 1.3176 as the dollar slumped, but it was also helped by the EU reaffirmation to its commitment to the Brexit talks. Meanwhile, the US dollar-Japanese yen fell from the 20 DMA to 104.33 despite the push higher in Treasury yields. Meanwhile, oil prices failed to confirm a break above the 100 DMA and declined to the $42 handle, continuing to lose ground early on Thursday. U.S. government data showed that domestic crude supplies fell for a second week in a row, but by less than what the market expected. The report failed to ease pressure from concerns over weaker demand. The Energy Information Administration reported a crude oil inventory decline of 1 million barrels for the week to October 16th. A day earlier, the American Petroleum Institute pressured prices by reporting an unexpected build in inventories. On Thursday, Asian stocks fell and the dollar steadied as investors fretted over the slow pace of the U.S. stimulus talks and a surge in global cases of COVID-19. Nearly two-thirds of U.S. states were in a danger zone of coronavirus spread, and 6 reported a record one-day increase in COVID-19 deaths. Global investor sentiment has deteriorated further after U.S. President Donald Trump accused Democrats on Wednesday of being unwilling to craft an acceptable compromise on fresh stimulus. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan was down 0.31%, while the Nikkei 225 was 0.66% lower. Australian shares gave up 0.29%, and Chinese blue chips lost 0.53%, putting European shares on track for a fourth straight session in the red. That is all for today. Thank you for watching. Please click subscribe to always be in touch with the latest market news.